And we are live. Welcome to the MLB Strategy Show. It is Tuesday, September 19th. I am Josh Engleman, here to break down a 12-game MLB slate. We actually are going to have to move pretty quickly for this one today. We've got the NFL Strategy Show coming up next at 11 a.m. So if we like something, we can spend some time on it. But if we don't, we need to move pretty quickly, because there's going to be a lot that isn't all that interesting to talk about. What that ends up being, we shall see. I've got my lineups generated right now. I'm going to run my sim on the back end before we get everything started. Hope everybody's having a good day. Hope you dodged the garbage that was that NFL slate last night. I did not. My pre-lock lineups looked really good, at least for the showdown on the late night. Unfortunately, that did not work out. The dueling touchdowns for the Steelers was not helpful. I played owner's box because there was some overlay. That got wrecked as well. Just an awful, awful set of two games. Very happy that's long gone. That did not go the way that I wanted it to at all. But now we're back to talk a little baseball. Like I said, I'm going to run my sim right now. And we'll call that boom. That'll start running. Yeah, ugly night, Steven. I didn't have 100% Chubb, but I might as well have on owner's box. Then I had like 60 something, I think, plus captain. I probably had like 75 or 80 on showdown, which was fine. That sucked, man. That was pretty gross. So my wife was down, I don't know the exact amount, but within a couple points, call it 20, somewhere in that neighborhood, going up against Watson, Chubb, and I believe the Panthers D, but it could have been the Saints D. They scored the same amount of points, so it doesn't matter. That Chubb injury ended up saving her. She picked up the dub by like a couple points. She won by like 3 or 4. So if Chubb would have been around, that would have been it. She ended up picking up the dub. Well, folks, all right, I've got everything running in the background. I think we should just get it started. Hope you guys agree. Actually, I got to open up my Crunch workbook as well, and then we can get it started. Big slate, 50K up top on the DraftKings side. So we're getting everything we could possibly want to get for today. We're not going to have too many of these left, I don't think, but we're getting a semi-good slate. It's really all that we could ask for right now. All right, Crunch workbook is open. Model is finishing up. So then we can get started. And then when I refresh it, it will have all of the information that we could possibly want to. So glad to have everybody here. It's fun. We'll talk about Owner's Box in a little bit. They are the sponsor. They had overlay last night on the 2-gamer, which I tried to attack. It didn't work, but literal overlay, not just reduced rake. They had overlay last night, or at least right on the line. I didn't pay close attention in that final 2 minutes, but they did look like they were just under the mark. But even reducing the rake to 1% is a giant dub if you're looking to play DFS. But we're looking to talk about baseball now. And if we're going to do that, we might as well dive into it. Game number 1, Yankees and Blue Jays. Clark Schmidt on the hill for the Yanks. Yusei Kikuchi going for the Jays. I feel like I've talked about this particular matchup like 100 times lately, but I don't think that I have. Schmidt pulling some love here. I think that's probably the first thing that we need to talk about. A little bit of popularity at 7,300. Maybe that's a good thing. I don't totally know. I want to double check it. Yeah, so he's somewhere in that like 10 to 20% range. I don't think he should be that owned, but he is 7,300. It's just not a great strikeout matchup, and he's not that kind of guy either. 176 X ISO to lefties, 19% K rate. 141 to righties with the 26. The Jays do tend to lead a little bit more to the right-hand side, but in this projected lineup, it's still 3 lefties. 19% feels a tad high. I'm anxious to see what I end up getting when I refresh it. 8,700 for Kikuchi on the opposite end. He's 8% owned. I think he should probably be around 5 to 10. So I think he's probably properly owned. But I don't really like either pitcher all that much here. There are to me, much better pitching options out there than what we see. Which actually, I should probably rerun this. Should I? Is Castillo, where's he at? Guardians ownership high? Maybe I'll rerun this. But either way, as I look at it, Schmidt is over-owned. We have him currently projected for 13%. That's probably a tad too high. I'd find it a little bit easier to just not have the pitching in any sort of bulk. But maybe I see that differently when I refresh. My final little chunk is being processed of my simulation. So I'll be able to refresh that now and see if I have any of these guys. Because that's really the easiest way for me to talk about this. What is showing up, at least to start the day, in my crunches? So as I refresh this, we'll get all of the information we could possibly want. But as of right now, I mean, it's Clark Schmidt. We don't need to go too crazy here. It's not like we think he's good in any way, or at least significantly better than average, because he's just not. So I don't need that much Clark Schmidt in my life if he's the value guy. Unless this Blue Jays lineup runs out even more righties than I was expecting. That'll play really well into Clark Schmidt's hands. All right, I've got this run. 17,000 lineups locked and loaded. Wow, go Pirates apparently for me today. That seems less than ideal, but we're going to rerun this while everything runs. We didn't have ownership to start. Now that we do, I'm going to refresh everything that I did for our ownership run, and we'll see if that makes things look a little bit better. So as I dump our ownership in, perfect. Now I can save it. Yeah, now we're dancing. All right, let's generate those lineups first. And then let's get back to the evaluation. Okay, so I have 12% Schmidt, 2% Yusei Kikuchi. I can handle that. It's going to be a big Blake Snell day. We'll get into that in a bit. But yeah, look, Schmidt should be in that like 7 to 12 range. And that's exactly where I ended up landing. I have him 4% to be a top 2 pitcher. So, you know, there's that. Let's talk bats, though, here. I don't have much of this game in general. 3% of the Yankees, 2% of the Blue Jays. I have them both middle of the pack. I've got the Yankees 9th overall. I have the Blue Jays around 13th. You know, we've got 24 teams on today's slate. I don't see much that I want here in this game. As it turns out, I guess $7,300 Clark Schmidt probably has the path to being the best thing here. Highest owned guy in this game, either Dalton Varsho at 6% or Anthony Volpe at 5%. The most I have of anybody is Cavan Biggio if he happens to be in the lineup, $2,800 third base outfield MPE. But as I look at it, I don't really see any priorities. If you want to go to Judge, he's probably under-owned at 3%. I don't know if Kikuchi is the guy that you're really trying to target. But 187x ISO to righties for Kikuchi, I think Aaron Judge is at least a little interesting. If they're going to run out 9 righties against Kikuchi, I mean, that's where he does give up some of the power. I get the path for it in this park. 113 park factor to righties. Plays up power a little bit. But I have 4 stacks of the Yankees, just 1 of the Blue Jays. I don't see this game as the game that we want to get a lot of. So at that point, we're going to keep it moving. All right, lineups have been generated. So let's refresh the pool now. And let's find out what we actually end up getting. That'll be another 2 minutes or so. But once it's done, we'll have a much better idea of where we stand. So now, run that sim for the second time. We'll go to game number 2. Nats and White Sox. 4.8 run implied total for the Nats, 4.8 for the White Sox. Jackson Rutledge going for Washington. He's 5,500 unowned and should be. He's legit bad, at least per Steamer. 550 projected FIP. Yikes. White Sox, on the other hand, Jose Urania going here, 1% owned at 5K. I wish I had him. I'm not getting all the way down to those sorts of value arms, but I had him a couple days ago when he had the big strikeout day and then ultimately got blown up late. When I look at this game, though, you are not going here for pitching. You are going here for hitting. We got to start on the White Sox side. I have them 6th in top stack, 2nd in top value. This still just is Lubob at 5,500 and then a bunch of freebies. Doesn't make a ton of sense to me. I have 17 White Sox stacks and 11.5% ownership going to those White Sox. I see them looking pretty damn good today. Hard to want to get to anything else other than Chicago. They're just so cheap that it really becomes difficult in getting to a team other than the White Sox. Like, they're just, if you need value, I don't know how you want to go anywhere other than to the Sox. Now, they're pulling 9% aggregate ownership right now. I have 11.5. It's just really hard to not use them for at least a little bit of value. Similar story on the opposite side for the Nats here against Urania. I have them 10th in top stack, 7th in value, 7th overall. They're 4.5. I have 4.5% ownership. They're 9. So both of these teams are pulling a lot of ownership. I greatly prefer the White Sox side of this one to the Nats side. So basically everything that, if you just wanted to equalize these guys, they're getting 18% total ownership. I have like 16, but I'm taking it from the Nats and giving it to the White Sox. It's probably a little easier to stack the Nats. They go shortstop, outfield, first, catcher, 1, 2, 3, 4, while the White Sox are shortstop, outfield, outfield, outfield. So they're a little bit of a cleaner stack on the Nats side, but you do get the benefit of being the road team for the White Sox. Park plays up power. Park plays up runs. Guy I'm getting to most is Tim Anderson, $3,300 shortstop. Don't mind getting to CJ Abrams on the opposite side, but Gavin Sheets, Eloy Jimenez, Benintendi, all in double digits for me. This is a game that you just want to get to a lot of offense. I think that's the clearest part of it here. That's what happens when Jackson Rutledge and Jose Urania are the two starting pitchers. You're going to want to get to offense. I just happen to think that the White Sox look a bit better than the Nats. Not only are they more cost effective, but I do think they have a slightly higher ceiling. Getting close to that final sim run being done. So we'll go to Braves and Phillies. This will be an interesting talking point. 5.2 run implied total for Atlanta. 3.7 for the Phillies. Spencer Strider on the hill for the Braves. Michael Lorenzen going for Philadelphia. Strider is the most expensive pitcher on today's slate, $12,800. That is massive. I have him as the highest projected pitcher on the slate, but it's not by a lot. He's projected for 30% ownership. That's exactly what I think he should be owned. I have 24% right now. We'll see if that changes when I rerun my sim, but as I look at it, you clearly want to get to Strider. It's a really nice strikeout matchup. Schwarber in particular in the leadoff spot. 27% K rate against righties. That stands out a lot to me for Strider. Is he prone to give up some power? Yeah, he is, unfortunately, which is kind of scary. But it's only a 153x ISO to righties. He's striking out like 37% of dudes. I got him projected for 9 Ks. I really like getting to Strider. The only problem with Spencer Strider today is that Blake Snell is $2,200 cheaper, and he's got the Rockies at home. So we'll see what that ends up looking like. As we look at the rest of this one, looks like it might not be Michael Lorenzen. It might be Christopher Sanchez. Christopher Sanchez is now listed as the probable starter on MLB.com. So I've seen both things so far this morning. Lorenzen is looking like he might be the long man per FanDuel, or per Fangraphs, rather. So it's possible we're getting Lorenzen as the long man. It doesn't really matter. Okay, so per Todd Zalecki of MLB.com, Lorenzen and Christopher Sanchez will be used in a piggyback role here today. So Lorenzen is not going to go deep into this game. You're not going to want either one of these guys. So be aware of that. I wasn't getting to Lorenzen even giving him a full stretch, but it looks like him and Christopher Sanchez are going to split that game. So there's nothing you want to do with Philly pitching. You certainly don't want Philly hitting against Strider. And then talking about the Braves becomes very difficult. They're 3% owned. I would argue that they're pretty sizably under-owned. But if you're willing to go to Strider, they become difficult to get to. I have them as the number one overall stack, but they're also 20th in value. They're incredibly difficult to get to a 5-man stack of, but at the same time, they do have the highest ceiling to me of any team on today's slate, especially here in this park. They play up power. I'm just not getting there. I have 3% of Acuna. I think these guys are a little bit too expensive for their own good, and it creates a situation where they're hard to get to. I certainly don't want any part of Philadelphia, but as I look at this, on paper, I wish I had more of Atlanta. I just don't know how feasible that's going to be. Now, my new sim is done. Maybe I have the Braves now. So I'm going to click refresh here and find out what has changed now that I updated for our ownership. It could be dramatic. I could have Atlanta. Maybe I do. Maybe I don't. I really don't know how it's going to play out. I did have a shit ton of the Pirates before we did this. That went down quite a bit. Now I have a shit ton of the Tigers. Neither one of those things feel very good to me. But ultimately, I'm still not getting to the Braves. So nothing has changed there. Still just 2 stacks and 2% for me. Pitching got even more extreme to Blake Snell. I'm not getting to the Phillies. And nothing really changed on that Nats-White Sox game either. So we're through our first 3 games. 92 of you in here. Hit that like button. We got about 40 minutes to go before we need to get out of here and turn it over to the NFL Strategy Show coming up at 11 a.m. Laffy and Ben. Only other live show we have tonight, MLB Live Before Lock, coming up at 6 tonight. You're getting Neil. You're getting Matthew Bellman. They're going to take you all the way up until 7. It's going to be a good time, everybody. It's a good day to just play a little bit of baseball. Emax got his article dropped in chat. Make sure you're checking that out, too. Don't want to miss out on any of the good content coming out at Stokastic. Why would you want to miss out on it? I don't know why. I don't know why that would be a thing. So don't do that. Just keep it moving and go to Cubs and Pirates. We're talking about one of the teams that I'm getting to pretty heavily now, and I'm not really excited about it, but let's see what it ends up looking like. 5.1 run implied total for the Cubs. 4.7 for the Pirates. It's Javier Assad for Chicago, Bailey Falter for Pittsburgh, and this is where we start to get into, and probably Bailey Falter, by the way, but this is where it starts to get pretty interesting. 5,900 for Assad. He's 5% owned. That seems right. 6,100 for Falter. He's basically not owned, nor should he be. This is not a game that I'm going to for any type of pitching. Vic, no, I'm not doing an NBA basketball video. So let's talk bats. I need to start on the Pirates side. I have them 4th in top stack and 3rd in top value. It's Brian Reynolds at 5,400, and then it's Brian Hayes at 4,700. These guys are basically free after that. I think Pittsburgh is very easy to get to. The park certainly plays up power, which I think is very appealing. We have the opportunity for some wind. We'll see what that ends up looking like. But I really just like getting against Javier Assad. That piece of it all looks pretty good to me. As I look at Assad so far this season, 173 X ISO to lefties, 150 to righties, but only an 18% K rate. I'm getting to way too much Pittsburgh right now. We have them 8% owned in the aggregate. Bay in the leadoff spot, 3,300 for a second baseman. He's 20% owned. We're talking about one of the premier cash game plays today. I'm still getting there, but I want Sawinski, Rodriguez, Palacios, every bit of this team. I almost have 10% of everybody. I'm going to have a lot of the Pirates because I like this matchup and I like this park. They are a little owned. I think they're probably properly owned. But as I see this team right now, I expect to get to the Pirates. And I'll have a little bit of the Cubs. I have the Cubs 3rd in top stack. They're just really expensive. 16th in value. Morel is 5K. Herner 5,700. Bellinger 63. Swanson 52. Top of the order of the Cubs, very hard to get to. I still have 8 stacks. I have 5%. They're projected for 4. This is another game where I want to get a lot of hitting, but I'm definitely leaning to the Pirates side. No part of that is fun. I don't think Pittsburgh's any good. But the top of the order is very, very cost effective. Like Andy Rodriguez for 3,100, that'll work for me today. Ranking. Oh, I got to go back and rank all these games. So I'm going to go back and rank Yankees Blue Jays first. That's going to be Schmidt, Yankees, Blue Jays, Kikuchi, I think. which is kind of weird. Nats, White Sox is easily White Sox, Nats, and then nobody. Braves, Phillies is easily Strider, Braves, then nobody. And then Cubs, Pirates is going to be Pirates, Cubs, then nobody. Now we go on to the Kansas City Royals are taking on the Cleveland Guardians. Alec Marsh on the hill for Kansas City. Logan Allen is going for Cleveland. 5.2 run implied total for Logan Allen and the Guardians in Kansas City. That's a pretty big number. Not a lot of respect coming in here for Alec Marsh. Now, Marsh has given up a ton of power to lefties and to righties, but he does have some strikeout stuff. So if the strikeouts can be there, that's great for him. But 216 x ISO to lefties, 242 to righties. He's primed to give up some power here. In particular, that 216 to lefties, we're looking right now at 7 lefties against the righties, or against the righty in Marsh. So I'm not getting to Marsh. I'm certainly not getting to Logan Allen at 8,400. He's not that kind of guy. I am getting to the Guardians, but not nearly as much as the public. 15% aggregate ownership to the Cleveland Guardians today. I have 6. Now, I have this team second in top stack, number 1 in value. This is the number 1 team that you could roster today. You're going to Kwan, Ramirez, Andre Jimenez quite a bit in cash situations. I don't think I'm going to be anywhere near this in my lineups. If they're 15% owned, right now I have 6. I only have 1 stack. So most of what I have is 1, 2, and 3 mans of the Guardians. I like that a lot. This is not a spot that I want to have a ton of the Cleveland Guardians. The most I have is 9% of Ramirez. I want to be underneath that field number. But on paper, the Cleveland Guardians are the best stack you can get to. And in cash games, you're paying very close attention to at least Kwan, Ramirez, Naylor, and Jimenez, if not more, from Cleveland. You're getting to a lot here. On the Royals side, they're 5% owned in the aggregate. They're also very cheap. 6,100 for Bobby Witt. Next most expensive guy is 3,800. So they don't have anybody in the 4s or the 5s. I think they're a solid value, 4th in value right now. Top stack odds aren't great, and facing Logan Allen isn't exactly a good time either. Doesn't give up any power to lefties. Doesn't really give up much to righties either. I think they're just like a functional value stack with a little bit of flexibility. If we're ranking this game, it is very clearly Guardians bats, Royals bats, Allen, and then Marsh. All righty, folks. Let's see. Does Owner's Box have the contest up yet for next week? My guess is no. And if they don't, I won't share it. But if they do, yeah, they don't yet. So we'll keep an eye out for that for the rest of the week. We're going to do one more game here before we talk about Owner's Box. That is going to be the Cardinals and the Brewers. And for this particular game, it's Drew Rom going for the Cardinals, 4.2 run implied total. Pitching for the Brewers is a little up in the air for right now. Looking like Trevor McGill is probably opening and then leading way to maybe Colin Ray, maybe Adrian Hauser. Either way, we're not going to the pitching on either side of this one. Drew Rom would be a functional value option, 5,300. I have him top 2 value at 17%. Bug Boy, Philly is not a great contrarian stack today. That is wildly untrue, but you know, I wouldn't expect you to get that right either. Drew Rom is an okay value option. Nothing more, nothing less. You're not playing any pitchers for the Brewers. It's funny to say Strider's been giving up too much power this year. When the highest X ISO that he has is 153 to righties. It's still better than average with a 39% K rate. But yeah, you know, go ahead and go up against Strider. Great contrarian stack. Definitely. Unbelievable, guys. Sometimes I wonder how this happens. All right, let's talk bats. And I essentially don't have this game. The most exposure I have of anybody is 4% to Willy Adames. We're projecting 7% aggregate to the Brewers. I have them around 6th overall, about 5% where they should be. So I think they're mostly properly owned, probably a hair too high. It's the Montessorios and like Tyrone Taylors of the world that are pulling in too much ownership. Top of the order is not so bad. For the Cardinals side, though, 21st in top stack, 13th in value. I have them 20th overall. I have one stack. That's basically all of my exposure. I don't have this game. I don't have the pitching. I don't really have the hitting. I'm hoping this one just stays pretty quiet. Now, it is going to be a lot of righties on the Brewers side. We'll see if that ends up looking a little bit different. Righty power is okay in St. Louis, but I see this game as a stay away on the St. Louis side and the Milwaukee side. I don't even know how to rank this game. I guess it's Drew Rom, Brewers bats, Cardinals bats, Brewers pitching, but I don't like any of it. I don't like any of it at all. The only thing that I like in this game is that it allows me to talk about Owner's Box, because now I don't have to talk about this game any longer. Owner's Box is where you need to sign up. Link is in the description. Let's start with the things that you'll get by clicking that link. 1, you are going to get 1 week of our NFL Sims Max package. That's going to allow you to generate up to 10,000 lineups for FanDuel, DraftKings, Owner's Box, and then use our simulation tools to find the ROI on individual players, stacks, lineups. This will be the most sophisticated tool that you can use to build your lineups for the NFL, whether you want to do that for Showdown coming up later this week on Thursday or for the main slate over the weekend. It's an exceptional time to sign up with us. I've been using it for Owner's Box. Went well for the first 2 weekends, that's for sure. I used it for Showdown. Sims tools are incredible. You're getting $100 value right out of the gate just by clicking that link. You got to deposit at least $10 into Owner's Box. My recommendation, you go way more than that if you can. Up to $500 of a 100% instant match deposit bonus. So if you put in $500, you will get $500 in Owner's Box. It trickles out at 4.5%, but I've unlocked quite a bit of it so far, and I'm probably close to halfway done already, and we're only 2 weeks into the NFL season. Getting an extra $500 to start is always the right idea. So you're getting free money and free tools, all for signing up using the link in the description. You just want to do that, folks. It's an absolute no-brainer. Yeah, so I have converted I've converted 40% of my Owner's Bucks. I got 500. I'm down to 316. So I've already gotten $184 in Owner's Bucks converted already. And we haven't even gotten to week 3. So come join the Owner's Box team, man. I'll see you guys there. I assume on Sunday, we're going to get another really nice contest and potential overlay. This contest overlaid once again in a pretty big way for week 2. It was by far the best that you could get into last Sunday. Keep an eye on it again for this week 3. Chris, did Neil ship 200 last night? I did not see that, if that happened. I did not see that if it happened. Now I'm checking his Twitter just to find out if I missed it. Oh, okay. No, his take did. Okay. Wow. And that's not a real thing. So we're gonna keep it moving. Shouts to Neil on the great take. I would guess he'd rather have the money. Well, Cats is dumb, so we should have known that. Rangers and Red Sox. 4.8 run implied total for Texas. 4.1 for the Red Sox. Nathan Eovaldi and Tanner Houck going here in this one. Eovaldi, 1% owned at 9,600. Tanner Houck, 2% owned at 7K. I don't really think that either one of these guys are priorities. You could have 5 to 10% of either one, and I don't think that would be all that crazy. But for me right now, not really a game that I'm looking at getting bulk pitching for. As we look at it for hitting, the Rangers, I have 8th in top stack, 22nd in value. They are 2% owned. I have none of them. I have what looks like a 3-man Seager Low Garver stack. Could easily just be randomness. I'm finding it difficult to want to go to Texas today. I don't really get a lot of Texas in general. So maybe that's part of my issue. But for Tanner Houck, 233 x ISO to lefties, 0.070 to righties. So Seager, Lowe, those guys are in a great spot. That's mostly it for the Rangers. Red Sox side, though, 13th in top stack, 11th in top value. I have them 12th overall. Only 2% owned against Eovaldi. Now, Eovaldi gives up no power, 140 to lefties, 150 to righties. I'm at least getting to a little bit of the Red Sox, but it's pretty much just the first two guys. It's going to be Rafaela in the leadoff spot, 3,400 shortstop eligibility. If he's hitting leadoff, he's just going to be good. And then Rafael Devers, 5,200 for a third baseman. He's just always interesting for me. So I like getting to those top two guys. I have 10 Red Sox stats. I'm 3Xing the field, but I don't see it as a giant stand. But if they're 2% and I get 6, those are the kind of plays that I want to make. Most of my ownership, though, is Rafaela and Rafael Devers. Bug Boy, it's not a lack of friendship. I'm not here to be your friend. If I see bad takes in chat, I got to point them out. And you bring them like you wouldn't believe. So this is not a friendship situation. But when things are not good in chat, I'm going to point those things out. Now, next game. Astros and Orioles. 4.8 run implied total for Houston. 4.2 for the O's. Hunter Brown going for the Astros. Kyle Gibson going for the Orioles. No ownership coming into Gibson, and nor should it. Hunter Brown is 8,500. I have him properly owned somewhere in that like 8 to 12 range. He's getting 16% ownership. I have 11. You certainly want some Hunter Brown, but I don't think that you need a lot. The price tag helps, but he does give up a bit of power to lefties. Strikeout stuff certainly looks good. Ultimately, somewhere in that 10 to 15 range, I think is going to be fine. You're not going to the opposite side for Gibson against the Astros. Gives up too much power, does not miss enough bats. As we look at the bats, I don't really want the Orioles against Hunter Brown. I think Hunter Brown is good. I have one stack. They're 3% owned. There's no priority. The most owned guy on the Orioles is 4% Jordan Westburg, so you're not going there. Astros, 2% owned. I have one share of Alex Bregman. So I'm not really getting to Houston. They're very expensive. First four hitters, 63, 56, 62, 58. They're 23rd in value. So I actually have them 17th in stack score. Are they under-owned as a team that's like getting no ownership against Kyle Gibson? Yeah, but they're very, very hard to afford. If you want to go to the Padres or the Dodgers or the Braves, like they're not the only team that's also expensive. So this game is mostly a wash to me. I have one total stack. I have 1.5% ownership to the hitting, and I have 11% of Hunter Brown. If you're ranking the game, it's Hunter Brown, and then I don't know if it's anything. I guess it's Astros, Orioles, Gibson. None of it feels good. None of it feels good. Hunter Brown is the best thing you can get to because 8,500 is a solid price. I really wish I brought a water up with me. Oh, I still have. Let's see if I can pour off some of this melted water. I still have like a sip or two left of this coffee. There we go. All right, Diamondbacks and Giants. 4.1 run implied total for the D-backs. Hit that like button, by the way. I didn't realize we're up to 155 people. When there's no NFL, you guys are still sticking around. That's what I love to see. That makes me happy. It makes me very happy. Zach Gallen going for the Diamondbacks here. Alex Cobb going for the Giants. Going to be a tough game to prioritize hitting. Less so for the pitching. Zach Gallen, 9,800 for today. He is 16% to be a top two pitcher, 6% value. I think he should be around 15% owned. He's 20, and I have 18. Gives up a little bit of power, more so than you would expect. 164 x ISO to lefties, 183 to righties. But for this price tag, against a Giants team that does have some strikeouts in it, I think Gallen is appropriately owned in that 15 to 20 range. So please get to Zach Allen. This park really helps him out, limits power, 88 park factor to righties, 85 to lefties. On the Alex Cobb side, is he okay at 7,500? Yeah, like he's 3% owned. He should probably be 5. That's probably like, he doesn't get enough strikeouts, 14% K rate to lefties, 27 to righties. So that's a bit of a mixed bag. 165 X ISO to both hands. Cobb is totally reasonable as a value option at 7,500, but he's certainly going to look underwhelming. I have 6%, best I can do. The easier thing to say here is that I don't really want the bats. I have the Diamondbacks ranked 19th. I have the Giants ranked 15th. Diamondbacks are 4% owned. Giants are 2. I have 4% total of both teams. I only have 5% of Yaz. Everybody else is going to be less than that. So if we're ranking this game, it's Gallen, Cobb, Giants bats, Diamondbacks bats, I guess. But honestly, it's really just Gallen. If we're being honest here, you don't want this game. On a 12-game slate, there's just so little incentive to getting to the Diamondbacks or Giants. Like, people don't want to be there. It's a tough pitching matchup. Could they be the team that goes crazy? Yeah, but we're talking about the Giants having a 3% chance to be the top stack and the Diamondbacks having a 3% chance to be top stack. It's just not likely. There are more likely options that are also low owned, and that's what we want to look at. So I don't have much here in this game other than Zach Gallen. And like, I don't even have any individual bats I want to highlight. Like, I think the top of the Giants order, like Yaz, Estrada, Jock Peterson, they're under-owned at 1%, but they should also only be 5. The appeal for the Giants is that the most expensive bat in their projected lineup is 4,500. All righty. 3 games to go here. So we're going to pack this one in. This should be perfect timing before the NFL strategy show. What can I hit you guys with? So we're going to get into A's and Mariners because we've got some things that are going to be aggressively talked about. I have so much of the Tigers. I don't know if anybody's noticed that on the screen yet, but that's going to become a thing that we talk about. That's not fun to talk about. The A's have a 3.1 run implied total. The Mariners are at 4.3. Paul Blackburn is on the hill for the Angels. Yeah, for the Angels, for the A's. Luis Castillo is going for Seattle. We'll start with Castillo. 20% owned. He's 11,300, and that is $1,500 less expensive than Spencer Strider, but $700 more expensive than Blake Snell. I think Luis Castillo is in no man's land. I don't think that he's close to Strider because of the projection in price. I think that he should be, I don't know, pretty close to 2-1 in ownership. And then Blake Snell, I think, is massively better and probably pretty close to 2-1 in ownership. So I'm going to have a lot of trouble getting to Castillo. I have 5%. I think he should be around 15 to 20, and he is 20. So I don't think that he's over-owned. But if I can only put together 150 lineups, for me, I'm going to cut Castillo, bulk push Snell, who we'll get to in the next game, and then fill out with Strider. That's where I stand, at least for right now. There's also Paul Blackburn on the opposite side, 6,700. Now, he's 15% owned as a value option. To me, that's too much. I think he should be in that 5 to 10 range. But he's definitely a guy that you want at least some of. That seems very clear to me. Very clear to me. Ooh, this is going to be fun. Hold on. Let's hit this one quickly. Oh, guys, you guys are going to love this. You guys are going to love this. I have some. It's not relevant to this game, but I've got something that we should definitely talk about here. For his career, we're going to hang this one up here. Bryce Harper kills the Braves per Sean V. For his career, Bryce Harper has a 141 WRC plus. And we know this isn't a couple years of being bad at the beginning. He was awesome when he came up. 141 career WRC plus. Bryce Harper, in his career against the Atlanta Braves, 139 WRC plus. Not only does he not always kill the Braves, he kills them less than he's killed the league in his career. If we want to just say he kills the Braves because he has a 139 WRC plus, he kills everybody because he's talented. That's what happens here. He does the same thing against the Braves that he does against the rest of the league because this isn't a thing that exists. Good God, how do we still perpetuate this stupidity on a daily basis? A daily basis. Unbelievable. Career ISO, 239. Basically the same against the Braves. Who could have seen that one coming? Career 520 slugging against the Braves, 516. Kills them. Absolutely kills them. I don't know how he's able to kill them so well, but he does, man. He does. He kills everybody. He's the Braves killer. The absolute Braves killer. Woof. Woof. Anyway, Paul Blackburn. Certainly a better pitcher than he used to be, but overowned. 15% is too much. If he's going to maintain 15, you don't want to go there. Find a different option at the bottom. That's what you should be doing. I have 3%. I just think there are better versions of Luis Castillo and better versions of Paul Blackburn. Now, let's talk bats. I definitely don't want Oakland. Do they have a little bit of power? Yes. Are they bad? Yes. 3.1 run implied total for today. Second worst implied total, only behind the Rockies, who we're going to talk about. There's no chance I want to go to Oakland. There's also no chance that I really want to go to Seattle either. Like, Paul Blackburn isn't... I don't expect Paul Blackburn to get, like, nuked in this one. 132x ISO to lefties, 142 to righties. He doesn't get hit hard, and we're in a park that nerfs it. I have 0.8% of Seattle and 0.3 of Oakland. The only thing that you should get with any sort of priority here is Luis Castillo. I just happen to think there are better pay-up options than him, but the talent in the matchup looks great. Looks great. Now we get to the best pitching play on the slate by a mile today. That is going to be Blake Snell going for the Padres. 4.7 run implied total against the Rockies. 2.9 run implied total for the Rocks here. And as I look at this one, it's so simple. 10,600 for Snell. So Blake Snell is $2,200 cheaper than Strider, but he gets the Rockies outside of Coors. The Rockies outside of Coors are next level dog shit. I mean, we're talking aggressively bad. If we look at all teams, active rosters, and we're going to go on the road this year, that's going to be the split that we are looking for. Road teams, how everybody did on the road with their active roster. The Colorado Rockies are dead last in WRC plus, 78. 78 WRC plus outside of Coors. I don't know how you don't go to Snell. 10,600, 45% owned. That's the high mark by a mile. He's 15% more owned than Strider. But his price tag is so easy to get to. You're going to expect massive strikeouts from Blake Snell and against a team that cannot hit at all. The Colorado Rockies have a 29% K rate outside of Coors. It is all Blake Snell. All Blake Snell. Got to get to them. Got to get to him. You're not going to get to Ryan Feltner on the opposite side, so don't really worry about that one. That's not going to be as interesting. Hold on. Let's do this. Here we go. I'm talking the last few years, Sean V. Last few years of Bryce Harper against the Braves. Oh, I went all the way back to all of his other stuff. Not his whole career, just the recency stuff. Oh, you mean the recency? Let's say the last 3 calendar years where he's got 180 plate appearances and a 121 WRC plus. He's 20 WRC plus points below his career average over the last 3 years. Why do you say these things? You repeat the stupidest stuff over and over again, and you're still not right. You know FanGraphs exists, right, man? You could type fangraphs.com into your browser and look up this garbage before you just type it and put it in chat and prove that you're wrong. All of this exists. All of it exists. 121 WRC plus in the last 3 years. 3 years back from today, 120. 20 points lower than he is in his career. What are we doing here? Why do we insist in repeating stupidity over and over again? All of this information exists. Use the internet. Now, we obviously detailed out how good Blake Snell looks. Do not play the Colorado Rockies. They are unnecessary today, obviously. I don't really see a situation where you're getting to the pods, but they're decent. They're decent. They're middle of the pack overall, 15th in top stacks, 16th in value. No ownership. They're 4% owned. But if you want Tatis, Soto, Machado against Ryan Feltner, that's totally fine. I just don't have it. But there are bats that you can buy on the San Diego Padres that will not make you feel bad about it. $10.48, $10.49. So hit that like button one last time. Last game of the day. Here's how we're getting into it. Just incredible. It's incredible how this works. When did people stop thinking that facts were like, it's not like you can just say something and it's like, oh man, I got to go down to my bookshelf, find the encyclopedia on H's so I can look up Bryce Harper and find that information. You can have your answers in like 5 seconds. And we're just like, who needs it? This noodle up here, way smarter than the Googles. Incredible. Incredible. He's hit 9 home runs in the past 3 years against the Braves. 9. With his .238 average and .476 slugging, which is 40 points below what he normally is. But again, Braves killer lately. Braves killer. Ryan Pepio is going for the Dodgers, 5.1 run implied total. Alex Fado going for the Tigers, 4. Ryan Pepio pulling some love, 9,100 today, taking on the Tigers. Now, for Pepio, I get to him a decent amount, and I'm getting to him here. I think he should be about 15% owned. I have around 20. He strikes out a shit ton of righties. There should be enough in the Tigers lineup. You will get some lefties, but those guys strike out too. Now, he does give up a 177x ISO to righties. That gets a little bit tricky for Torkelson, for Jake Rogers, maybe for Javi Baez. But Park plays it up. So I'm a little nervous about like the scariness of the Tigers, but I certainly want to get to Pepio. I have 22%. That said, now I will not have 50 Tiger stacks by the time we get to it, but they do stand out to me as an underrepresented team. They're 2% owned. This is a Park with a 125 Park factor to righties and a 121 to lefties. This is a great Park for power. And I've already mentioned Torkelson and Rogers, they're going to stand out. Kerry Carpenter doesn't, like, he can still put one out of here very easily in this Park. The most expensive bat in the Tigers lineup is 4,600. I have them 5th in value. They're 2% owned, but I have them 10th overall because of the value and because of this Park. I have their stack score at 4.5%. I think this is a sneaky, unowned team. Now, again, I'm not going to have anywhere remotely close to 50 stacks. If I just make that change quickly, just to look at it, if I just lock that in at 30, just to see where they redistribute to, it's just going to be a lot more like White Sox stacks, I would imagine. That's just going to be the easier place to get to. But even if I just want to look at this way, this is the kind of thing people want, right? These are the sneak stacks, the people that, like, nobody's on them. I can tell everybody to play the White Sox and the Pirates, these teams pulling ownership. Tigers aren't pulling it. I don't mind having righties against Ryan Pepio. I cherry pick. Just shut up. Go away for 5 minutes. I can't listen to you until I'm gone. I cherry pick. I just read off all this. I'm not cherry picking anything. I can't listen to the stupidity or I'll never get done this show. I think the Tigers are sneaky. 3.5% top stack odds, but way better value option. And we're seeing a lot of the other value teams. Maybe that's the easiest way to describe it. So I'm sorting this table by ownership right now. This is how owned in the aggregate these teams are. Guardians, 15%, number one value. White Sox, 9%, number one value. Pirates, 8%, 11% value. Those three teams are the three best value options. They're owned in 15%, 9%, and 8%. But then I look at the Tigers, and it's just like, well, okay, they're 7% to be the top value. That's not too far off the pace of those top teams. They're 2% owned. The Tigers, I think, to me, are getting very slept on in this park. We'll see what it ends up looking like. But if they're 2% owned, I think it's very easy to go to 6, 7, 8%, get a really nice stand, and then deal with it afterwards. You can still get to a ton of other things. I think the Tigers are getting slept on quite a bit as a value team. I think you guys should join me in taking a deeper look at the Detroit Tigers. That's my sneak stack of the day. So as we sum it up, favorite pitching options. Easily Blake Snell, number one. No competition whatsoever. Spencer Strider, 2. Zach Gallen, 3. Honestly, Ryan Pepiot, 4. Hitting-wise, favorite stacks that I can get to. White Sox, really nice combination of upside and price. Pirates, very nice combination of upside and price. Red Sox for me, and then the Tigers. The Tigers are my sneak stack for today. That is where I stand for Tuesday, September 19th. You guys got the spiel on Owner's Box. Make sure you're signing up there. But the thing you need to make sure you're doing is watch our NFL Strategy Show. Coming up next, 5 minutes from now on this channel, not on this stream. Go check it out. Laffy and Ben talking week 3 in the NFL. Good luck, everybody. You know where I'm going to be tonight. Hit me up if you have any questions for the slate. I'm not on live before lock tonight. So good luck to everybody. Check out my contenders videos. You know where we'll be tomorrow, right back here, 10 a.m., breaking it all down. Adios, everybody. Have some fun. Enjoy your Tuesday.